good old Tom Brady was inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. We know he's going to be NFL Hall of Fame, whatever Hall of Fame y'all want at this point. Like, Brady is who he is. But a conversation came up. Now, we've talked about hip hop and its 50th anniversary and the performances and lack thereof and all that. And this seemed to resurface because people are having a fit. I know Lone hates people, but Twitter and the universe and whatever you want to call it is having fits that JayZ chose to go to the Patriots Stadium for this celebration for Brady and perform. And he didn't hit not one hip hop event. So,
you mean perform at one hip hop event or
celebrating the 50th anniversary?
Okay.
There was no.
He was at one, wasn't he?
I don't think he performed once.
No.
I don't think he performed once, to my knowledge.
But I'm not. I just mean I thought I remember him being at one with Beyonce or something, but maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
And then
but isn't the person who brought this up Antonio Brown?
Well,
if that's the case,
here's my
thing. Kind of started with him, and
okay,
thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
forget AB. Like we can talk about it on face value without AB because we know what AB is.
A broken clock is right at least twice a day.
So,
okay,
right. Yeah. So my thing is, even in terms of the actual conversation, should this even be a thing? Should this even be relevant at this point? Jay can choose to do what he wants. We talked about this a while back. He has no quote unquote obligation, or does he? Because that's what continues to come up. You go rock with Brady, have a good time, Mr. Kraft. Everybody's celebrating. These people are ignoring you in the crowd. Nobody's really paying attention, which I don't agree with because Jay's too big of a star for that. But that's neither here nor there.
It's not his crowd.
Thank you. So the actual conversation, why does this continue to come up? Why do people still want to bring this up? I know Jay's a GOAT. Some people say the GOAT. So the responsibility that's tagged on him is going to be a little different. But at this point, I mean, is it just, we just beat a dead horse at this point? Because
people like to talk, man. Essentially, I mean, this is social media.
But this
is really called social media. So,
but this didn't bother you when you saw him performing at the Patriots, correct?
No,
that's what I'm going for. It didn't bother y'all.
It didn't bother me, but in the same token, I can understand why it may have bothered some other people.
Okay, that's fair.
You got to realize JayZ is bigger than hip hop and rap at this point in time. He's one of those fortunate individuals or artists that transcended where he started at and now wears many hats. One of those being the director of NFL music. So I don't know what his exact title is with that.
But he picks the Super Bowl.
He picks the Super Bowl halftime show, which means he's rubbing elbows with Brady and these team owners and things of that nature. And you know, everybody likes to say he's getting it back. I'm absolutely positive that Tom Brady cut him a really nice check to open up, because Tom Brady actually runs out of the tunnel to that song that JayZ performed.
Mm-hmm. I think it was PS. Was he doing
PSA? Yeah.
That's been his theme song.
Yeah, when Brady runs out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Every time in wherever he plays, what's it called?
Gillette Stadium.
Yep. That's what plays.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what plays whenever he runs out of the tunnel. So it was fitting to have JayZ there to perform the song.
Right.
Now, when they showed the crowd, I think that's more so of the thing that people were talking about. You went out there and performed for people that ain't going to appreciate who you are and what you do.
Right.
They were like deer in headlights. A couple people were feeling it. A majority of them weren't. But at the end of the day, I mean, when you're in these rooms with rich people and things that they do, they don't have the same reaction to things as us common people.
The average concert goer or whatever.
The people that Blue was looking down over the balcony at. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
They don't have the same reaction as we would as hip hop fans, because they are people that are privileged to be in the presence of these type of people at all times. Like, they might appreciate it, but they're not going to act the same way. You know what I'm saying? So,
no, I agree with what you're saying. So, Jay, I'll come to you and I'll ask you, maybe I'll pose it a different way. Is the obligation question / conversation tired at this point as it relates to, hip hop and the OGs and who's responsible for what?
Yes.
Okay. I knew you was going to tell me the truth. That's why I'm trying to ask.
Man, how do we know what JayZ was? It JayZ even invited to anything during all this 50-year?
Come on,
sure
man.
He was.
Come on, man.
But
he was invited.
But, we talked about this, during that 50-year situation. Because if JayZ shows up, it becomes JayZ and everybody else is there. I think unless he was going to do his own concert, some sort of Rockefeller reunion or something that was based around specifically his era and JayZ and friends, I think it was actually kind of responsible for him not to just show up at stuff and yank all the air out of the room and then leave. And people, it's kind of like if anniversary of Thriller, and it was like the making of, it was a documentary. And that part where Michael Jackson did the moonwalk for the first time, that wasn't the end of the show.
No, it wasn't.
That was the middle of the show. And so when they taped it, they literally had to tell people to get back in their seats and calm down. We still got a show to do. And what's really crazy is, like, they asked one of the guys who was at the show, they was like, who performed after that? He's like, I have no idea.
It doesn't even matter.
And so I think to a certain extent, look, JayZ is not obligated to do these things. And honestly, for some of these concerts and some of these reunions and stuff, I'm glad he wasn't there. Yeah. Because he would have sucked all the air out of the room.
He actually paid homage to hip hop, though. People forget about how he set that library up with Baseline Studios, and you could actually go visit and see all his accolades and things of that nature. Now, it was only about him, but to me, that's still a nod to hip hop.
Yeah, that was something that year. It wasn't a concert, but also I'm just at a place where, like, y'all got to stop waiting on people to do things for you. And if he does this for Tom Brady, you know what I'm saying? Like, if Tom Brady played his record every time he ran out of the tunnel, there are people who know that record and went and probably played that record who have no interest in JayZ.
Absolutely.
And so,
point. Good point.
And if you can get out in front of that and be up, and like JayZ also did the thing with Alicia Keys this week. He can pick the things he wants to do. Don't be mad that he didn't pick what you want him to do.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. It's just, I don't know, man. I think it's dead at this point. Like, there's no reason to keep going back and forth about it, because the man's grown. At the end of the day, he can do what he wants. And I think it's just a hip hop specific thing where we get these requirements or what certain people should do. Maybe it happens in the other genres. I don't know.
I don't know if it's really a hip hop music thing, though. I think people sometimes want hip hop is more than music sometimes. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes we want leaders of specific realm. I think across the board, we want people that have voice and have power that are maybe somewhat a part of the community that we're a part of, that is typically maybe a little bit more marginalized, or maybe doesn't have as loud of a voice to maybe speak up a little bit more to help certain things out. So I think it's kind of normal. I don't think it comes from a bad place. I think it just comes from like don't forget where you came from type of vibe, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. But I agree with what you guys say as well. It's like definitely if Jay shows up, I don't think that the criticism of Jay in this comes from like a place of like hating JayZ. I think they want to see him, but I also think we want our leaders to represent us, and he is a representation.
He's a Mount Rushmore figure.
Hip-hop, so we want more, just like the Republican 300 school voucher thing we talked about last week.
Yeah,
it's similar. It's like we hold him to a higher standard because he has more power and privilege than people,
than a lot of other rappers.
What I was going to say is they only say that to JayZ, though. JayZ is not the top rapper or the only rapper at the top tier, or could be on Mount Rushmore. They haven't said anything to Eminem.
True.
They haven't said anything to Snoop. They haven't said anything to 50 Cent. They haven't said anything to any of these other rappers that are at the top of the mountain, so to speak. Nas, exactly. They only go to JayZ, and it's almost like, I don't know, because of he's married to Beyonce, maybe? I don't know.
I think that it's because he's also somebody that who he represents now. He's like this wealthy icon, status person for almost wealth as well. It's not just about just being top of your game in music. I think it's also because he's like a representation of capitalism almost. I think a lot of this is deep. I think it's deeper than the music in that aspect. Eminem stays out of those conversations for the most part. Nas is not on that level of, icon's not the right word. It's what's the billionaire status, whatever you would want to call that, like mogul. Like JayZ is different in those aspects, and
even though Nas and Eminem could be classified as moguls in their own right, it's not associated with them like it is with Jay. To your point, like when you see Jay is a brand. He's business. He's all that.
That's all the more reason why you shouldn't expect to see him at these events, though.
But
like it might be a one of that may include JayZ, but I don't see JayZ touring with a bunch of other rap artists from state to state, city to city. Night, you know what I'm saying? I just don't see that happening.
I guess that's all I'm saying is like that's why I think people hold him to a higher stature than these. Even the artists that you mentioned is because he represents something different, and he's in these different rooms. It feels like he has access to potentially do things, and people want those people to step up and do things. And so I think that's probably where a lot of it comes from, is all I'm saying.
It's probably the majority of it is rooted in that.
Look, let's just keep it
Maybe.
real. There are some people who feel like, oh, they're going to be like, as soon as them white folks call, you're at their beck
That's
and
exactly
call.
what this is.
Yeah.
So
That's how they feel.
That's
exactly what
how
this is.
you can feel. But he has a relationship with Robert Kraft, and we're talking about, like, you know, some of the reforms they're talking about as far as prison and criminal justice. I know that Robert Kraft is in those rooms, you know, along with Meek Mill. It's a weird combination of people, but, you know,
If that's what works,
there's a lot. If that's going to, you know, get some work done, then that's going to get some work done. You know, like you said, you know, JayZ is tied in very heavy to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like he, you know, the last 3 Super Bowls at least. You know, we start off with Dr. Dre, and we see, you know, Rihanna, or Eminem. I might be in the wrong order, and then we see Usher. You know.
Yeah, that's him. He
He's
has
responsible for all of those.
That's JayZ.
That's him.
You know, for bringing that part of the culture to the forefront. So, I mean, who does he have relationships with? Just be honest. Like, you know, there are less and less people who are tied into certain things that JayZ might see and talk to on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that he'll be at the owners' meeting, but like he might be courtside with Robert Kraft and Tom Brady before he's right there with, you know, whoever did the concert at Yankee Stadium. It bothers a lot of people that JayZ, you know, at the end of the day, he did this for these white folks, and did he show up for us? But he shows up for us in different ways. Because let's just be honest, like the Super Bowl would be up with people and and present, and the Muppets sing the hits. You know, if
Aerosmith might have played the last 3 times.
Yeah, you know. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what I don't know what they're going to do for this year's Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure there's somebody in JayZ or who's like, hey, could you do something for everybody else? Like,
because people don't really enjoy the mass majority don't enjoy the halftime shows, but I mean.
But, you know, this is also about partnerships with Apple. Before Absolutely. It was about Pepsi.
I mean, it's about business.
You know,
it's about money, and I think that's, again, I think a lot of people's sentiments, and maybe not even necessarily mine, but definitely mine, is like with power comes responsibility.
Yeah,
and I think he has a certain level of responsibility, and I think it comes with it, and I think the criticism is valid in general. Mm-hmm. to be able to criticize people like this, but at the same time, you know, I also don't care. You know what I mean?
Knew that was coming. Yeah.
No, I mean, like, if JayZ wants to perform with this or over here, I don't think it is a reflection of his love for hip hop or
lack thereof or whatever,
anything like that. Yeah. But I understand the criticism behind it, and I think when you have that much power, you know, you need to be challenged on stuff. I don't know if this is particularly a thing, but you know,
or at least be mindful of the level of power that you have.
Yeah. Or so would this be a consolation prize if JayZ, because I mean he does the Made in America thing every year, and was that in Philly?
Yeah.
So he does that. Let's say JayZ didn't necessarily perform at something, but put together like a festival or somewhere he picks out the artists that comes out and perform. Is that good enough kudos for people, or does JayZ have to be hands-on involved with
It's never going to be good enough for people.
I think
that's the part.
Sure,
it's always going to be something.
It never will, but I think at the same time, I think it just depends on what it is. It depends on what his, like, is he out to genuinely boost, you know, the culture that he's a part of and all that stuff, or is he out there to boost JayZ?
Or is he out there trying to help his wife put on this next tour for the Black Rodeo?
Yeah, I think
might be doing that.
I think multiple things are true here. So, but I also think that, you know, I think the criticism is okay. Yeah. And I think when you have that much power, you have that much wealth. I think that comes with it.
You know,
Kanye, they didn't ask Kanye to do it.
Well,
yeah. Well,
Didn't.
then, but I remember feeling some type of way when everybody was remixing the Black album, and it was it was a whole bunch of great stuff. And I just remember, shout out to Black Spade. I remember we were having this conversation during this era, and he was like, all the remixes that came out, and he gonna jump on with Linkin Park.
Yeah,
like I remember him, and then when he brought up, I felt some because I really don't care for that project. Never have. I mean, I understand why it works, but I was just like, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But it was a business move.
Yeah, it's a business move, and it's
It got JayZ on a lot of alternative stations.
It definitely did.
Doesn't he have a song called Black Republican or something like that? Or
that's him.
That's on Nas's record, but yeah, he does. He's featured on it.
We tend to overlook certain things because certain people reach certain statuses, and it's just.
Well, better get your ducats together if you want to see JayZ.
Gonna be a pretty penny, right?
It's gonna cost you. You see how much his wife charging?